Smasho here, and while we have a reduction in sunspot number and the radio flux, we don't see anything like a reduction in incoming solar plasma. Additional coronal mass ejections have happened. We talked about one being on the way yesterday on yesterday's space weather video, and we'll let you know what's going on with the latest today. So thanks for tuning into the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. This is composite imagery from the SDO, and you can see some action happening in the southwest. Sunspot number has dropped. And one other thing I'd like to note is that this sunspot group down here, sunspot 3078, I believe it's called, it's going to produce an X-flare when it gets a little bit closer to setting here on the southwestern limb. It has all the indications that it is still very, very active, having produced M-class flares. It's going to produce an X-flare, folks. All right, let's do a brief volcano rundown here and then get back to space. Shivaluch on the Kamchatka Peninsula is exploding. 15,000-foot ash plume, flight level 150 from Shivaluch over Kamchatka. Abiko, 10,000-foot ash plume over Paramushir Island. Flight level 100. Flight level 140 as Semeru explodes over East Java, Indonesia, 14,000-foot ash plume. Heading down to South America, Colombia, we see Nevado del Ruiz exploding, producing a flight level 260. It's a 26,000-foot ash plume. Heading farther south to Ecuador, Sangay, 20,000-foot ash plume as it explodes. Revenador, 16,000-foot ash plume as it explodes. And Sabancaya exploding, flight level 250. It's a 25,000-foot ash plume. Don't pull Volta Caldera. Brief look at seismicity here. There's the 90-day bar graph. Here is the last 24 hours of earthquakes. No major quakes. It's actually been kind of calm. There was a 5.0 near the Loyalty Islands and a 5.1 at the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. I think those were the largest quakes of the past 24. Nope, a 5.4 at the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. Also a 5.3 at the South Sandwich Islands region. So pretty calm over the past 24 hours, and let's get back to space. So there have been additional coronal mass ejections. Where are they headed? Well, we'll have to keep you in suspense on it, but there's some imagery of it. That's the last 24 hours from Soho Lascaux C3, Soho Lascaux C2, and the SDO 304 angstroms wavelength. Yowzers. Here's the last 24 in ionized iron, 171 angstroms. And again, this sunspot down here is not done. It might be looking like it's shrinking a little bit, but it's still producing significant flare activity. The 10.7 centimeter radio flux now down to 117 solar flux units. Again, that has not produced a lack of plasma flying through the solar system. There's the one-year chart. The black line's the radio flux. The red line, the sunspot number. Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard predicting continued geomagnetic unrest and geomagnetic storm conditions into tomorrow. By midday tomorrow, NOAA forecasting that those conditions will stop. Keep in mind there is a coronal hole high-speed stream also mixed in to those coronal mass ejection strikes. We're expecting another one on the 21st. We'll tell you more about that a little later in the video. Next, Earth geomagnetic moment from space. This is the last 4 hours of magnetohydrodynamic pressure. And things have calmed down geomagnetically here for a little while. We've come out of geomagnetic storm conditions. That's Earth's magnetic moment from space. Here's Earth's magnetic moment from the ground for the past 4 hours. And lots of people coming through with imagery of the aurora. I haven't seen any of the aurora australis, only of the aurora borealis. Anyway, that's your last 4 hours of geospace delta B in nanotesla. magnetic flux density. There's your KP index over the past 3 days, and you can see we were at KP6 there late in the day on the 17th. We reached KP5 for a period of time. Yesterday on the 18th, now we've calmed back down to only a KP2 for the planetary K index. Next, looking at the real-time solar wind, and we've got a solar wind density of about 7.5 protons per cubic centimeter. Solar wind speed quite elevated here, 550 kilometers per second. It did make it all the way up to about nearly 640 kilometers per second there. That might have been the peak of the coronal hole high-speed stream, and you can expect to see this kind of sputtering because of the shape of those coronal holes. Not all of the plasma expected to strike Earth. We do have nearly the entire south solar polar field oriented toward the Earth. So here's the GOES magnetometers over the past 3 days, and typical of coronal hole high-speed streams and coronal mass ejection strikes, we see kind of spiky readings there on the GOES 16 and GOES 17 magnetometers. No surprises to our regular viewers. And before we talk about the top view ecliptic plane field plot, let's pause for station identification. Welcome to the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. So this is our top view ecliptic plane field plot, and you can see from this that most of the south solar polar field is actually oriented toward the Earth. You can see all this red on this imagery here. The north solar polar field still largely at the north heliographic pole. It's kind of on the other side of the sun, but it's still mostly, or a large portion of it at least, is up at the north polar region. So it's yet to migrate, which means there's a lot of solar cycle 25 ahead. Here's a line of sight plot along with the solar magnetogram showing the sun's B field in blue. And let's move to coronal holes. So again, most of the south solar polar field here oriented at the Earth at the moment. And there's still more rotating in, but that's what's going on with coronal holes. Lots of south pole oriented ones facing the Earth. And there you can see them. This is solar cycle 25's south solar polar field migration before your very eyes. That's 211 angstroms from SDO. Eyes on the southwestern corner. That is where the activity is currently happening and will continue to happen. And let's move to sunspots. So sunspot 3078 is the sunspot to watch. Again, we've got a little dip in sunspot number here. The likelihood of an X-class flare is actually going up as that sunspot reaches the limb. And many of us believe solar flares are anisotropic, meaning their intensity is determined by the angle of viewing. This is why sunspots in the middle of the solar disk seem to produce smaller flares than ones at the edge. Here's some more imagery from SDO. This is the SDO continuum imagery. Slight degradation of sunspots in the past 24 hours. Mostly stable, though. And I'm fairly convinced sunspot 3078 will produce an X-flare. Here's your magnetogram. Just spectacular imagery there from SDO. I like the James Webb, and it's great for cosmology, but the SDO is still my favorite. Now let's talk about cosmology for a quick moment. The most bright intrinsic object, the brightest intrinsic object visible from our solar system is a star called Deneb, part of the constellation Cygnus. It's the tail of the swan. Göbekli Tepe is oriented toward Cygnus X3. It's the little friend of a blue supergiant star. Its jet is oriented directly toward Earth, and it's, as far as I know, the only known cosmic ray point source. These are the X-ray outputs from it. So this is the Neil Gorell's Swift Bat X-ray Observatory, and we follow the X-ray transients of hundreds, In fact, over 1,000 different objects, galaxies, stars, pulsars, magnetars, and so on. And this is one of the entries here. This is Cygnus X3, the star Deneb. It is the brightest intrinsic object. It consists of an ultramassive object orbiting an ultramassive star, a huge blue supergiant, at a significant percentage of light speed. And one of the jets from that massive object are oriented toward Earth. Anyway, these are the X-ray outputs of it, and the point I'm making is that Cygnus X3 is in an ultra-quiescent X-ray state. If you look at this graph down here, this graph right here, you can see it's just above the 0 line on the past 30 days. And if you look at it on this graph, that is almost as quiet as it ever gets. So it is in a mode of ultra X-ray quiescence at the moment. If you want to read more about Cygnus X3, head to smashomash.com/forum. There is a cosmology forum. You can log in and leave comments if you like. If you scroll down, it's completely free, by the way. If you click forum, cosmology forum that is, you'll see a bunch of entries there, and one of them that's pinned is Cygnus X3, massive X-ray binary, celestial pole star Deneb. Yes, it's also the north celestial pole star at the other end of the precessional Earth's axial wobble cycle, replacing Polaris. All right, so just thought I'd bring that up briefly here. And let's actually look at cosmic rays. This is your cosmic ray update. This is the Apatity neutron monitor. So you can see the last 30 days there at Apatity, a downtick in neutrons there detected at Apatity, Barentsburg, an uptick at Barentsburg over the past 30 days. Despite all that plasma showing up, an uptick in cosmic ray flux. Next, we'll go south from there to Greece. Minor downtick there at Greece over the past 30 days. That's the Athens, Greece neutron monitor. Let's go even farther south to Mexico City. Slight downtick at Mexico City over the past 30 days. And let's go back north to Oulu, Finland. There's Oulu. Slight downtick at Oulu over the past 30 days. And let's go as far south as we can go. There's DOMB Antarctica. Downtick there over the past 30. And there's DOMC Antarctica, a downtick over the past 30 days. That's your cosmic ray update. And let's move back to solar information. So there's the X-ray output over the past 3 days, and quite a lot of flaring there. The sun now in a sea level background X-ray output. Largest flare of the past 24 was this M-class flare. It happened this morning. Peak flux was at 440 this morning on August 19th, and it was a M1.6 class solar flare. So now we'll look at some imagery in some different wavelengths here. This is 94 angstroms. And a bunch of flares mixed in there, mostly coming from sunspot 3078. And let's get a little closer. As we present to you the most detailed imagery of the closest star on the entire internet. Also the most comprehensive space weather you'll find any place in the world, possibly in the galaxy. Let's look even closer than that. And we don't think that sunspot is done producing large flares yet. We've also got 131 angstroms from that same wavelength. That's the last 24 hours of activity. Complements of sunspot 3078. If you're wondering if coronal mass ejections were produced, the answer is yes. We don't see any relativistic particles, no spikes there in the ghost proton flux. Just minor increases, nothing even noteworthy, certainly not causing any polar radio blackouts. And let's bring up a star chart. If you're up before dawn, you may see Jupiter, Mars, and the Moon very close together at the moment. Venus having just risen here over Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania. Here's your solar system forecast. This is where things are now. Let's advance this 1 week. We're in the transition from a gibbous waning to a crescent waning. Here's where things will be in a week. We're about 8 days from a new moon at the moment. My favorite phase. I tend to sleep the best around new moon. Let us know what happens with you. Do you sleep better at new moon, full moon? What happens? Is your sleeping chamber completely dark? By the way, thanks to everybody who supports the channel. And the best way to do so is by becoming a Smash Team member at the gold or silver membership level. Smashomash.com/Smash Team. Thanks to our Smash Team members. Our credit crawl is coming back. And we'll talk more about that at a later time. Smashomash.com/Smash Team. It's kind of like Patreon, but it's our own website with superior capabilities. Press like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. We make just this side of nothing to put these videos on YouTube. Algorithms, censorship, I don't know what the problem is, but in any case, it's certainly the most detailed space weather content and imagery of the sun you'll find any place, possibly in the universe. Press like, press subscribe, press share, install the Twitch app. You'll see when we go live at twitch.tv/Smashomash. And make sure you follow us on Twitter as we approach a whopping 300 followers on Twitter. If you don't have an account, make an account. You'll see shares you'll see nowhere else. Improving your health is one of the things that we are doing nowadays. This is not insurance. This is just an association membership. SureMed. Click the link below the video to SureMed and become a member of the American Better Health Organization. The base membership provides all of those things. You could save 15 to 50% at hundreds of thousands of dentists across the country. Save money on durable medical equipment, vitamins. Contact doctors by phone because going to a physical doctor is so 2019. Again, links below the video and on the homepage to that. If you'd like to support the channel via some merch, check out the Redbubble shop. Links on the homepage to this as well. And don't forget to enter the promo code INSPIRED to save 25% on all clothing through today, August 19th. Those are in order of best selling. And congratulations on realizing the channel exists and surviving global democide so far. We're apolitical, and we're not only making Earth not suck again, we're also doing our part to make the galaxy not suck again. So, first of all, Mensa, make Earth not suck again. And if you're ahead of the curve, make the galaxy not suck again. Support the Galactic Federation Special Forces, whose motto is Universum Liberate. Because if I could wave my magic wand, I'd set everybody free. Have you found yourself enslaved? Are you sick of what's going on in your state, in your country, your hemisphere, continent, your planet, your solar system, your local group of stars? Well, bring it to the galactic scale. Bring freedom and liberty to the galaxy. Universum Liberate. Speak Latin. Freak people out. People on certain websites full of conspiracy theorists may think that you're a member of the Illuminati. Don't convince them otherwise, but do enter the promo code INSPIRED to save 25% on all clothing purchases on the Redbubble shops. Links on the homepage to SureMed, the YouTube channel, Twitter, Instagram, etc. We keep making changes to the website, and welcome to the Neo-Renaissance. Again, congratulations on realizing the channel exists. We still do have Patreon as well. And again, there is a credit crawl coming back for those who actually contribute to the channel. Again, press like, press subscribe, press share, leave a comment. Even if you refuse to open your cobweb-encrusted wallets. Thanks again to all of our viewers. And let's get to some coronagraphs. So here's the coronagraph imagery from yesterday. And there is indeed another coronal mass ejection headed our way. We can expect that to arrive early in the day on the 22nd. Let's go out to Stereo A and the Soho-Lasco C3. We've paused the imagery here because this is another earthly directed coronal mass ejection. Actually, this right here. So that portion of the CME there is earthly directed. So we can expect a CME to arrive on Sunday the 21st and another one on Monday the 22nd. The fireworks have not ceased, folks. So here's this CME. Most of it will miss Earth to the south, but there is a component headed straight toward your doorstep. So there's the imagery from the Soho-Lasco C3. And there is a partial halo there. There's nothing on the opposite side of the sun, and so part of that coronal mass ejection is earthly directed. Let's play it through somewhat synced. See that develop from Lagrangian point 4 over here on Stereo A and Lagrangian point 1 on the Soho-Lasco C3. Don't worry, folks, if you haven't seen the Aurora Borealis, it might be coming your way. Hopefully the timing will be right. Here's some more imagery, some more composites from SDO plus Lasco Soho. Soho-Lasco C2 and C3. Yowzers. Yeah, more geomagnetic storm conditions coming. It's an exciting time to be covering things like space weather. Likelihood of additional coronal mass ejections really high. Likelihood of an X-class solar flare as this sunspot sets really high. Look at all the filaments in the northern hemisphere. Yowzers. Those are a lot of filaments, and they are huge. And they could release at any moment and produce additional coronal mass ejections. Here's the last 2 or 3 hours from the GOES 16 SUVI in 304 angstroms. You can see some activity kicking off on this sunspot. And it looks like a high-speed coronal mass ejection happening once again as we make the video. Right there you can see some material likely coming out of sunspot 3078's local area. And here's the last 24 hours from SDO in the same wavelength and in higher resolution. Geez, and let's blast through our bonus feature segment and meteorology segment. We're slapping it all together because through popular demand, it's back. So here are our satellite charging hazards, some minor surface charging hazards here over places like Mexico moving into the Central Pacific. Nothing major. Here's the GOES electron flux, which cratered as forecasted. It's still kind of low as the coronal hole high-speed stream continues, and coronal mass ejections are still on the way. Here's our forecast showing up almost exactly where we cited that it would be yesterday. That's the relativistic electron forecast by NOAA. You can see NOAA was off by a lot. And the next green box will be a little bit closer to reality, which is those yellow diamonds. Here's the one-year chart from Solon.info for relativistic electrons. And let's take a look at the F ionosphere layer, located at about 300 kilometers of altitude. This is the vibrational frequency, or megahertz, millions of vibrations per second. There's a lot of vibration going on up there at 300 kilometers of altitude. That's in space. And keep in mind, folks, the air is very diffuse up there, which is why it's able to vibrate so much. Mostly ionized material up there, unlike down here at the surface, where you've got mostly neutral material. There's too many chemicals to react to have a lot of ions down at the surface. Here's the anomalygram, showing anomaly in megahertz from the 30-day median. And remember, folks, September is the most geomagnetically effective month. We have the most geomagnetic storms of any month in the month of September, so things are getting more and more exciting, and we're not even at the peak of solar cycle 25 yet. Lots and lots of exciting stuff to come. Some great opportunities to see the aurora in Pennsylvania. Here's the latest ionogram image, 10:15 universal time. Latest anomalygram image, that same time of day. Next, total electron content forecast, showing you the free electrons in between your GPS satellite and your GPS handset. We're seeing fairly organized electron contents, unlike yesterday. Watch yesterday's space weather video if you didn't see some unorganized electrons. There were some anomalous electrons showing up around the Southern Ocean and around Antarctica. At the moment, things a little bit more organized as the coronal hole high-speed stream continues. Anyway, total electron content is showing you the free electrons in between your GPS satellite and your handset. This satellite's located about 12,500 miles of altitude. It's way up there on the inner portion of the outer Van Allen belt. And here's your intensity gram. Again, the sun has dipped in activity a little bit, despite producing lots of CMEs. And remember, folks, you don't need to see sunspots or solar flares for coronal mass ejections to happen. Let's take one more look before we head to the realm of meteorology. This is Iron Star, consisting of 335, 193, and 94 angstroms. And that is yesterday and today so far's imagery from SDO. Once again, we pause for station identification as we transition to the realm of meteorology. Know the difference between Earth weather and space weather. It's part of what we do here at the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. And again, don't forget to Mensa. Make Earth not suck again. Now we're looking at Saharan dust. And for everybody hoping to see some hurricanes developing in the Atlantic, well, the Saharan dust making it less likely, especially in this area here. Yes, dust from the Sahara. It tamps down weather systems, reducing the amount of convection available, and hence reducing the severity of lows in the Atlantic Ocean. Let's get to our regularly scheduled meteorological information. How about the surface winds of the eastern world? It's a little dark over there. Let's shed some light onto the wind conditions. Here are the jet streams of this side of the planet. And shout out to all of our pals all around the planet. There are the jet stream scenarios of the east. Here are the jet stream scenarios of the West, the Americas, and cold air being injected way down south on the land of cotton. My feet stink, and yours smell rotten. Here are the surface winds of the Americas. Powerful low, right centered on Iceland. Here are the surface winds of Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. And last but not least, the jet streams. That's where we'll leave nullschool.net's fantastic Earth wind map. Jet stream blowing backwards over the Indian Ocean and northern Africa. Here's your weather.gov map. If your county's lit, click your county. Weather.gov is where we're looking here. And floods continue in New Mexico and Arizona. Follow Reed Timmer. We share his tweets regularly. Twitter.com/smashamash. Again, if you don't have an account on Twitter, go get an account. I don't care how much censorship is there. You'll see information you won't see anywhere else. And let's take a look at the total accumulated precipitation for the next 66 hours, since it's the only data we've got. There you can see heavy rains expected, especially for New Mexico. Also for parts of the Texas stovepipe and some concentrated portions of Arizona, expecting like 5 inches of rain there. That's your 66-hour GFS total accumulated precipitation forecast. Precipitation totals shown here in inches. And here's your pressure map for the area. Strong low pressure here north of the western Aleutians. You can see that strong low pressure there over Iceland as well. Windy.com, they got a great mobile app as well. And here's your NASA GOES lightning mapper. That's about the last 10 hours of lightning. And let's go to a real-time lightning map. Because here at the Smash News Network, least busted name of news, we like to cite facts, and we like to debunk nonsense. It's fun. And there's plenty of nonsense to debunk on YouTube. Anyway, this is the lightning scenario. We do have some active lightning strikes coming in here as we stream. So here in southern Iowa, we just had a lightning strike near Bloomfield, west of Keosauqua, great Indian name there in southern Iowa. And in Pennsylvania, we're very familiar with Indian names. Some additional lightning strikes coming in there as we stream the video. Here's your radar.weather.gov weather map. You can see a powerful low here around Minneapolis. You can see that counterclockwise rotation happening up there. Let's take a look at the clouds and fog scenario. Again, you can see that counterclockwise rotation happening there over Minnesota. And here is your water vapor map. Again, the jet stream injecting cold air way down south. Here's your recap to close out today's Space and Earth weather video. Radar.weather.gov. Shortwave radiation showing clouds and fog at 3.9 nanometer infrared. That's your satellite imagery. And here is the water vapor map. That should clear things up. Hopefully it does. And thanks for tuning in to the Daily Space Weather. Congratulations once again on realizing the channel exists. We'll see you soon. And may that solar wind be at your back.